Been a while since I've done a garage video. Hope you're all doing alright. For some reason that light up there causes strobing on the camera. I think it's just the frame rate. So sorry if you're getting like a brrr. Don't know what that was. I thought it was about time that I brought you an update on the Honda Z125 monkey bike. Now, as some of you may know who have watched the channel for a while, I bought myself a Honda monkey bike in March this year, I think it was. Bought it up in Leeds, rode it down to Hertfordshire, which was about 200 miles through the Peak District. I've still got it, it's here. You won't be able to see it because it's tiny and it's not in shot. Literally, it's right here. Since then, you've seen it at the ABR festival, where I was undertaking GSs and super adventures and enduro bikes and all sorts of stuff, which was hilarious fun.
How do you feel now, GS? Been taken by a monkey. You're right. I'm overtaking so many people. I am so fast, I'm speed.
You might not be able to see this. I've got a list of modifications that I want to get done and have started doing on my whiteboard behind me. Some of them are cosmetic, some of them are sort of practicality, and some are performance based. I've already done the rear suspension, as you would have seen if you watched the ABR video in June. In that video I mentioned that the front suspension, although I'd replaced it with higher weight oil, it was bottoming out galore. Everything I hit, it was just bang, 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 bang. Oh! So in today's video we are going to replace the front fork internals. I've got part of the video that I filmed when I fitted the rear suspension as well, so that will be cut in and you'll see me in a different t-shirt and looking slightly less haggard and aged, or maybe more haggard and aged. Depends whether my moisturizer's been working. So these are the stock shocks. They're literally dual rear shocks. They've got no real adjustment to them. Literally just one bolt at the top, one bolt at the bottom. So let's get the new ones out. I can't actually tell you how excited I am about these things. They are so cool. Look at these. These ones have got preload and rebound, which will be really useful. You can see some adjustment screws all over, and they've also got height adjustability, and they've got piggyback reservoirs, which just make them look really cool. They're going to look something like that. Right, let's get them on. I can't really find a suitable place to jack it, so let's just do one shock at a time and see what happens. Can't wait for everyone in the comments to be screaming at me. 14mm it is. Wow, 14mm. That's worryingly easy to undo. Hopefully that will stay. Looks like it is. So there's the old shock. That was easy. Look at them, they look so cool. Look at those, that was the easiest job in the world as well. They look the nuts. Right, I'm just going to do the other side and I'll bring you guys back. Look at these. Oh yes, that was the easiest shock swap I've ever done. I mean, not that I do it a lot, but they are noticeably harder, which is going to be fantastic for off-road. I'm going to have to test these out when I get them out. That's the rears done. I've got the fronts to do now. With any other bike that I have worked on, including my Tracer, the Phaser that I worked on, which you guys wouldn't have seen, this NC750X, etc., they've all had the same system. Basically a big bolt up the bottom of the fork that you undo, you wind that out, take the top cap off, pull all the internals out. Happy days. The monkeys, you have to clamp onto the fork stanchion and then unwind the bottom of it. And you need a special tool for it, of course. Honda wouldn't sell them to you, or they seem to be unaware of what I was talking about when I asked. But it's basically these things. 2 bits of CNC'd metal with a little bolt thing in the middle. That's it. And they clamp around the fork stanchion, hold it in place so you can heat up the end and then unwind it. That's it. That was 50 odd quid for that. Slightly irritating, I know, but you can't get those anywhere and it takes ages for them to get in stock, hence why I've waited this long. Previously, I had bought these. These are Kitaco or Kitaco, I don't know how you say it. They're Kitaco higher strength springs. They are way stiffer, which is really great, but I didn't fit them for obvious reasons because I couldn't get the bottom of the stanchions off. I still have those and they're about 50 quid, which wasn't too bad. And because of what I'm planning with the bike, I thought I'd go bigger. This is the YSS High Performance Fork Damper Kit. The fork damper kit actually allows you to do more than just replace the springs. It comes with slightly heavier weight oil, strong springs as well, and it comes with new internals, which means the whole fork is going to get upgraded. Now, not to waste the Kitaco set, these are the YSS springs, which they're not bad, but I mean, you're probably just getting loads of noise in the microphone. They're not bad, but they're not quite as firm as the Kitaco ones. Now, the Kitaco ones, I've said Kitaco like 20 times, the Kitaco ones seem to be much firmer. So the stuff I'm going to be using the bike for, I think I'm going to sub out the YSS ones for these and then fit everything else with this. So we're going to get on with that and see how it handles. Let's get going. Such a tiny wheel. Right, so as you can see, I've got the forks out, or I've got the fork out of the front of the bike. It's all come apart very easily. Now, what you didn't see is when the fork is in the triple clamps, break off the resistance on this. Undo the top triple clamp bolt or triple tree or whatever you want to call it. Undo that bolt, leave these two done up, and then just break off the nut on the top of that just to make it easier, because if that's holding it in place, that makes it so much easier. As you would have seen, I undid the top, removed the top cap. I removed that, which allowed me to pull this further out, which then allowed making the space. You might be able to see another one. There are 4 holes or 2 holes that go all the way through. These things clamp on to the stanchion, which means it now no longer turn. Next thing to do is gently heat this up, and then I'm going to try and get a bar. The one that's actually quite useful is your axle bolt. You probably won't be able to see that because it's really dark down there, but get a bar in here to undo that. So I'm going to carry on with this. I'm going to bring you back in a minute. Be wary that it does drip oil everywhere. So I've currently got an old oil catch can down the bottom there, but yeah, it pisses oil out everywhere, which is really inconvenient. But yes, carry on, I'll bring you back in a second.
Probably use gloves because it's quite warm. So I haven't got my microphone on, but you know, so you can hear me. Be careful, that's obviously very hot because you've just heated it up. It does need to be very warm. A heat gun, if you don't have a heat gun, I've got one of these, just a butane propane mix thing. You also want to turn this clockwise as you are facing the bottom of the stanchion clockwise. So there's obviously a load of Loctite and stuff in there, which is what you've just heated up. Try and clean that out. I should be wearing gloves, that would actually help, wouldn't it? But you know. Now in the end of this, there is I think it's a 14mm. Now a lot of the kits that you get with these clamps come with the sockets that you need for that. I should have one, I think. we're going to undo this. Now, if you've ever done suspension before and you undo like top caps, with the spring pressure, it will ping it off. So when you undo this, get your hand close to it just to catch. There's not a lot of pressure in it, but enough. And there's also a washer in here that you don't want to get. I mean, I could use a smaller tool, that would be useful, but there's also a washer in here that you want to make sure it doesn't go flying like that. That's what happens when you're not paying attention, you're talking to a camera. So here is the spring. So if you look at the difference, the stock one is way closer. The Kitaco one is much thicker. You want to take that off. And once you've taken that off and your hands look like a 16-year-old boy's, that should just come out like that. Happy days. Now we're just replacing all of that stock stuff with the aftermarket stuff. Pretty simple. So I've got my brand new dampener. It's got a brand new top cap, which is why I wasn't bothered about scratching up the other one. This is the old dampener. What you will need to do, there is a ring on there. Oh, there is a ring on there that you can see. There's the little gap on it. You need to take that off and put it on the new one, as with this spring. I don't know whether you need the spring on this kit, but I'm doing it anyway. Be careful not to break this. They do seem quite fragile. So that is around there now, as is the spring. So you want to put it in this end, threaded end going in the threaded end. There we go. Comes out the other side. You can add your threaded washer nut thing. So now we're going to be putting the spring in. One spring. Now we're going to pull that back out so you've got your holes visible. Get your clamp back on. Back in the vise. Now you've got your washer that you had before and your top cap. Now this is going to take a little bit more compression. Top cap on with the washer between. You got your 16mm and you can turn in and you sort of push in and turn, and then it will bite eventually on the thread. There we go. So you need to tighten this to a torque of 25 Newton meters. 200ml of fluid in this, which gets supplied to you. They give you two of these 10 watt, so one per leg, and 50ml spare in case you spill a load. And then you need to do this. For this bit, get your wife or girlfriends or husbands or boyfriends, inclusivity and all that sort of stuff, favourite measuring device. 200ml of your fork oil. This is 10 weight. You can use 20 weight if you're really fat or planning on jumping it off of Mars, but 10 weight should be completely fine. I think it's like 2.5 weight from factory, and what I mean by that is it's the thickness of the oil, pretty much. Hadouken! There's going to be a Domino's guy turning up in a minute. I'm quite excited about it. The reason I've got this holding this up is because this falls down because of the way of the forks. Just going to pour it in there. As you go, do like half. Pump it to get all the bubbles out, then do another little bit, pump it a bit more. When you're pumping this, make sure that your other half knows what you're doing, because it can sound like quite aggressive internet video where people put things in their mouth that are too big to fit in their mouth. See what I mean? If the Domino's guy turns up and I'm doing this, it's going to look really suspect. You basically want to do this until there's no more bubbles coming out the top. When you pump it, you'll be able to see bubbles. Last part on this is just to do this top cap up. Don't worry about doing it completely up, because you can do that once it's on the bike, but just get it most of the way there. Now let's do the bottom. You need some Loctite on there, which is a 243 Loctite. I'm going to use the one I've got up there. Do that back up, but because we've already put the oil and the cap on, you need to have something that will fit through that into this 14mm hex. Now obviously I've got this, which is my thing that fits in there from a different project set of tools. Now if I try and fit that in the end of this, ain't going anywhere. As I mentioned, some of the kits that come with these have a long, like almost like a 2 or 3 inch long 14mm bit that you can use. I've got one of those inside, so I'm going to go and get it. If you don't have one of those and you can't get one of those, get yourself an M8 bolt and an M8 nut, and on either end of it put yourself 2 nuts to like lock themselves together. That then can go into the same hole that that would go into. There you go. A 2.5, or if any women are watching, 7-inch long 14mm. Then you just get the 14mm on there on your torque wrench, and then you can do it up. Bottom of the fork in the vise, you got your stanchion and everything there. This goes in the end. Now I used my 14mm on my socket, on my ratchet, just did that up to the point where it was not moving. Then I torqued it. And the torque setting for that is 70 Newton meters. Happy? Happy for the people that say I don't torque stuff up? So there is one rebuilt fork leg. That back on the bike, do a second one, and I'm going to go get dinner because it's like 8:30 at night. The next thing you will see will be a road test of this. So I'll bring you back shortly. Bye. Just for argument's sake, this is a stock shock. Pretty easy to compress. This is the modified one. So you can still do it, but it's taking all of my weight to do it. Jump time. Good evening, ladies and gents. This part of the video is being filmed the day before you're going to see the video, hopefully. So this is the Saturday evening, and you're hopefully watching this on the Sunday evening. So sorry to the Patreons for not getting you early access. This is why. I've done a couple of road rides now, and it has made a night and day difference in the suspension, because before the rear was done and the front wasn't. So every time I went over a bump, it kind of did like that, if you know what I mean, forwards, and it felt really, really dodgy. Whereas now it sort of bounces evenly, which is great. Cornering is way, way better now. It sort of feels way more planted, which is great. Again, same kind of reasons I've done the rear and hadn't done the front. And the other thing that's really, really nice is that there's no brake dive anymore. Or there is a little bit, but nothing substantial, whereas it used to dive quite a lot before, which is fan-dabby-dozy. I've done a couple of runs on this already, so I know it was really, really good. But there's some sizable ruts and roots and stuff. Like, I mean, if I put my foot in that comes up to my ankle, or shin, should I say. Especially for a monkey bike that's got wheels that are this size, jumping off that is relatively scary. So far, it hasn't bottomed out once, which is just what I wanted. I'm also in my brand spanking new RoadSkin hoodie that Mark and Ian sent me yesterday. It literally turned up yesterday, and it's already filthy. Oh shit, that is a big one. I reckon I could jump that, you know. Right, should we see if we can jump this then? Yeah, boy. Yes, monkey. Jump. Jump. Yes. Oh, that is exactly what I wanted. I got some air on the monks. Yeah, boy! Yeah, see, this is exactly what I wanted it to do. All this stones and crap, and I can now do this without the worry that I'm gonna bottom out the suspension constantly. Jump! Yes! Getting some air on the monkey bike. Look how massive that is. Yes, monkey. Yes, monks. I mean, I could just lift it up that. But look at this stuff, man. This is really gnarly. Where was that massive, massive root? It's around here somewhere. There it is. I mean, look at that. If I pull up, it's literally the monkey's front wheels swallowed by it. Yes, monks. This is so much fun. Another big one. Oh, I might have to pull out
the fuse for the front ABS because it's intervening where I don't want it to off-road. This is probably the biggest one of them all. Nip up here. Yes! This is fantastic! Get a bit of a jump going on. No, I'm not going to get a jump. Not got enough speed. Mud! Oh, my legs are wet. Good old monkey boy. Come on. And this bit comes out to the main road. Oh, she smells burny. Oh, just get rid of that. There it is. So yeah, got the rear rack, tail tidy, YSS shocks, bar ends, fake bark busters, big horn, the fork guards, the sump guard under there as you'd have seen at APR, big boy DID chain. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye.